Low-level students. So how do you deal with a speaking class if your student cannot speak English at all? If you are a teacher, you know that if they don't talk, they're not going to learn. And if they don't learn, they don't want to risk talking. So what can we do to motivate and engage these basic students to start talking non-stop? I'm Mary, and today I'm here for another video. Yes, I do have quite a lot of them on my channel with ideas for your speaking lessons. Right, so talking about students in general, I think the first thing we have to do is to make sure that they feel comfortable with us, so they know that your class or your actual classroom is a safe place for them to make mistakes. Because many people, they don't want to speak another language because they think they lack vocabulary, maybe people are not going to understand my pronunciation, or, I don't have enough grammar or my fluency. So there's even a real name, for the phobia of speaking language. And we are here to help them overcome this fear. So when it comes to basic language students, I would say let's always try to use easy to understand activities and use scaffolding strategies, just for them to build this confidence and for them to be able to talk. All right, so as always, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see exactly what my students did. Right, so talking about basic level students, I'm talking about basic grammar structures such as simple present, simple past, future, prepositions, pronouns. And if we talk about vocabulary, we could be talking about hobbies, family, appearance, hometown, or music. Okay, so clothes, this kind of stuff. All right, so the first activity I've got here is called the bed holiday. So basically what I do is I show the student some photos with problems that might happen during, well, not just during holidays, but some kind of annoying things that can happen during your holidays. And as you can see, I put the verbs here, in infinitive. So we've got eat, break, sunburn, cancel, and rain. The first thing I'm going to do is to ask the student if they know these verbs. Right, so most likely they are not going to know sunburn, and maybe they are not going to know break. The other verbs, usually, even if they say they are, very, very, very basic, what I always notice is that they do have some knowledge from school. So there are some things that are very exposed to since they were children. So most likely they are going to know eat, cancel, and rain. So what I do is to ask them the past of these verbs. So, well, age, broke, sunburned, and try to explain a bit. And then I'm going to ask them questions about a bed holiday. So look, I've got 6 questions here. Obviously, this is not a real holiday, right? So they have to be creative. They have to create like a story answering the questions. So let's say, for example, where did you go? So they can say, well, I visited or I went to England. Obviously, you're going to help the student, so this is scaffolding thing, to help them to achieve their goal. It's a very important thing, right? So just don't abandon them and, well, you speak. It's not like that, basic students, they need guidance. They really need to believe and to see they are doing the right thing. Okay, so give them this reassurance all the time. You see, so basically you kind of build this situation together with the student, and they are going to be able to talk and at the same time to have a bit of fun, because this, you need to be a bit creative to do that. And then after that, I just go and ask them to tell me about their last holiday, so what was, tell me a bit about your last trip. So where did you go? What happened? So we can really work on past simple, and we can work on these very basic verbs, and at the same time they can talk a bit and they can feel that finally, they are able to speak. Great. So for the second one, we've got discussing first impressions. So in this activity, we are going to be talking about basic stuff such as professions, countries. So if you're talking about nationalities with your student, this is a good one. Also things that people like, and family members, and this type of vocabulary. So basically, yeah, I use pixels, for random photos, but you can just go and choose a photo. It can be a man or a girl or, well, a child, whatever. And then you're going to discuss the first impressions that the student has, of this person. So basically, look, I've got some basic questions here. So who is this person? You can also take advantage and work on intonation of questions there. Why? So because some students, they have the tendency of going up with all questions. So who is this person? You see, so you can try to correct that, and at the same time they can see the right structure for basic simple questions. And then again, they have to be creative, and that they have to say what comes to their mind when they see this photo. So who is this person? Well, maybe he's a cowboy, or maybe he works in the field. So obviously, if they are very, very basic, they are not going to have enough vocabulary and enough grammar structures to say these words. So you are there to help them. Don't expect a basic student to be talking for 2 minutes, with no stop, because this is not going to happen. Otherwise, they wouldn't be basic. So this is the second one. So who is this person? Well, I think her name is Alicia. And what's her profession? Maybe she's a dancer or she's a DJ. Why? So that's it. Very nice one. I've got this useful language there. I think, I believe, I suppose, I guess, because obviously we don't know who this person is, and no. So yeah, they just have to try to speculate. Great. So talking about the third activity, I call it disappearing text. So I do believe that reading aloud and drilling techniques are very important for basic students. So I do like to hear them reading texts so they can understand, how the muscles move in English, how the pronunciation is supposed to be, and they can listen to themselves speaking, like more complicated, more complex structures, even if they don't know exactly what they mean. Okay, so this one is very simple. I just take very simple dialogue, and I'm going to play A, and the student's going to be B, or the opposite, and we are going to read to each other. So what type of music do you like to listen to? And he's going to say, well, I like listening to different types of music, and blah, blah, blah. So remember what I say about scaffolding strategy. So basically, is going from easier to more difficult. So the student really follows what you were saying. There is a flow, like a natural flow in the class. So we do this first. We can talk about words that they don't know. We can talk about pronunciation of certain words. And then I'm going to remove some of the sentences from the dialogue. So first thing, sentences are going to be there. So they have to, because remember, we are not challenging them, we are teaching them. So they can feel safe, they can go and look at the sentences, and they have to put the sentences back to the text. This is a bit mechanic, and it's going to be a bit not natural. So we are going to do this once or twice until they are able to answer the blank spaces by themselves. So a point, I'm just going to remove this. So look, I'm just going to cover this thing. And okay, so now let's try in a more natural way, with a bit of more fluency, and you can use your own words if you prefer. So let's go. What type of music do you like to listen to? And they are going to try to repeat what they remember, or they can use a sentence that they created, Okay, so it creates like a sense of confidence, and they are able to answer. And then we can just do the opposite. They can ask me the questions, and I can answer the questions. And also, after that, we can try to create our own dialogue. So let's just remove everything from here, and you are going to ask me about my favorite movie, for example, my favorite film. Okay, and we go from there. Well, so for the fourth one, I've got the very well-known agree or disagree. So you're not going to use this activity with a student in their first lesson, because of course they have to be able to give you a because, so they have to be able to defend their reason. So why they agree or why they disagree with the statement. But basically it's very simple. You just have to find some clear and basic, using basic vocabulary statements. So for example, in the first one, we're talking about seasons, and the second one, pizza. So these are words that usually students know, okay, because they, people in general, they have been exposed to English at some point of their lives. So you just put there, and you are going to show them. To help them with that, I just put a box here with some useful language. So things, ways to say that you agree with something, ways to say that you disagree with something. So I'm going to say, well, letters are better than email. And the student can say, well, I disagree because emails are fast. So you can say, well, are faster. And my tip is always to disagree with your student, so you give them more opportunities to talk. If you say, oh, yes, nice, yeah, amazing, fantastic, thank you, you're not really provoking them, you are not really stimulating them, to speak up. And the last one, well, these are just short talks. So all you need for this activity is a blank slide, that's it, and your ears, okay? So you're going to ask your student to prepare a short talk, and obviously it needs to be something that they like, and obviously it's not going to be in the first weeks of, of classes with this new student. But for example, if the student is an architect, maybe they can talk about a building, a special building. So they have to prepare, they can write things, and obviously the first time they can read aloud, so they feel confident, they know what they're talking about, and you just go and you can write things here, or it depends on the student. Some students, they prefer you not to write anything while they're talking because they get distracted. So you are going to know your student. If it's a new one, obviously, you can try both techniques, or just write things, take your pen and write things down while they are talking, and then you just go back to the things and say, well, we can pronounce this better, or the meaning of this, and this would be better in this way, okay? And obviously, after they read aloud, and after you talked about the topic, they can try to do, really to make the presentation. So basically to talk with no help at all. And that's it. And we are done for today. Don't forget to check my other videos about speaking activities, writing activities as well, and many other nice things that I've got on my channel, okay? So if you haven't done it, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and happy teaching.